In 3, 2, 1.
Welcome. Here we are back after a nice holiday week where everybody had a good Memorial Day. Tonight, we've been asked to jump onto the landscaping. So we've got a couple landscapers here from all different places. Uh, I'm Jeb Britt, the host. We've got Dave Jones, co-host, and along with Chuck Wilson as usual. Tonight, we're looking with Desiree Barancik. Is that right?
Baranchek.
Baranchek. That's Dave's or Chuck's fault. So she's with Columbine Landscapes out of Durango, Colorado. She's the operations manager. And then we've got Matt Hayden, full service landscaping out of Palm Beach County. Haddon. Palm Beach County, Florida. And then Josh and Matt Eldridge. Josh has not made it in yet, so we're just going to go right to Matt Eldridge with Earthscapes. Land and Lawn, they're out here in Chesapeake, Virginia Beach area, Virginia. Welcome, everybody. Starting out tonight. Let's see. Well, Josh is completely out, so we're going to exit. All right, Desiree, we're going to start with you just because you're first in the queue box. No pressure. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into landscaping to start.
Sure. I grew up in Salida, Colorado, moved to Durango for college. And then after I graduated, just stayed because I love the area. I was working in a bank and it was terrible. And I wanted to be outside working like more hands-on type work. And applied at Columbine, just very entry level crew member, and got the position and worked my way up the ladder.
Awesome. So what's your you say your operations manager, what are you in control of every day for your company?
I coordinate with the clients, making sure that everything is good with them and with the crew, and then also just set up appointments between our landscape designer and the clients and all the other day-to-day that no one else sees, all the background stuff.
Right. All this, yes, the stuff that I can vouch Matt Eldridge doesn't like to do at all. Matt, what we got you moving around there? Tell us what you got into it.
You're standing on your head right now, Matt.
Matt. Oh, am I? Yeah. Bingo. How about that?
All right.
I thought you were on your skateboard or something.
No.
Tell us a little bit about Earthscapes and how you got into landscaping, Matt.
My father started the business in 1996. My brother and I were, 8th grade, 9th grade at that point. He was a school teacher for 35 years and started it for some beer money, really, over the weekends, cutting a couple of his friends' houses, this and that. And Josh and I graduated in 2000. 2000, we just went right to work with Dad for, $5.00 an hour. And went to Tidewater Community College, got an associate's degree in landscape design and management, and pretty much hit the ground running after that. 8 years ago, my pops, after he retired from teaching, he wanted to move to the mountains. So Josh and myself pretty much just, bought him out, and now we're both 50-50 owners of the business.
So instead of TCs, why didn't you if you knew that's what you were going to do, why didn't you go to Votech, Virginia Beach with me?
Yeah, I know, right? I don't know. My wife graduated from Virginia Tech. We just went right back to work. No time.
I mean, Votech, high school.
Oh, Votech.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to be cutting grass. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
But it turned out to be all right.
How about you, Mr. Haddon?
I moved to Florida in '83 from Nashville, Tennessee, and I was in construction management, building shopping centers, strip centers, and working with the tenant build-outs and so on. Then I wound up going to work for the people who bought the shopping centers, and got property management, and I got into the landscape. Obviously, was a part of it, and I started really liking it. So I pursued it. I went to work for a good-sized firm in Boca, and as a salesperson. And from there, I went for a few years. I worked there, and then I went to a grower and learned that side of the business for a couple of years. And then I went back to West Palm and worked for a large contracting firm for about 5 years. I made vice president. And then my brother and I went out on sold my 69 Bug for my first truck. So it's been good to me. It's been good to me. I started the company in '93, and we're doing about 12 million a year now. But I'm a sole owner.
Okay. It's a lot of people think landscape, it's, the guy cutting the grass. There's so much more to it. I mean, I know Matt, they did hardscapes at my house. Talk about all the other avenues, not just, the weed whacking.
Yeah, so Josh handles the maintenance side of our business, and I do the landscaping side. And we've got a lot of traction from doing the Home and Garden Show, the Flower Garden Expo in January down at the Pavilion, the Convention Center. I mean, that's a huge it's 4 days to set up. The display usually is something that if you were to sell it in the backyard, you're looking somewhere around, $40,000 to $60,000 if you were to put it in somebody's backyard. It's big, water features, the whole nine. And in this area, we've got a lot of good traction from doing things like that, kind of going out on a limb. It takes, like I said, it takes an army to get it set up, and you get 24 hours to break it down. But through the last 2 years of doing that, we've seen, the hardscapes and design build side of our business really start to take off.
Okay.
So that, that's kind of where we're at. And we've got about 30 employees. We'll do about 3 million this year. And of those 30 employees, we got seven crews, probably 21 guys on the maintenance side, and about 9 guys on the enhancement side. 3 crews a day on that side.
When you say maintenance side, Maddie, what is that? I mean, tell us what the difference is between maintenance and. I'm going to ask each of the same question. What's your difference in your area between maintenance and installation or whatever?
Right. So our maintenance customers are, anybody from your normal residential to HOAs. Basically, what we call maintenance is anything that's included in a maintenance contract, a 12-month contract that will include, mulchings, prunings, 34 mowing visits, weed control. We can pretty much cater any contract to a maintenance customer for a year-round maintenance of the property. And the enhancement side would be just anything that's outside of a maintenance contract, or enhancement work being hardscapes, landscaping additions, remodeling, revamping of the landscape.
Okay, Desiree, is that the same with your company? Do you have the same kind of business model with that? Because I'll tell you what, when I think of landscape, this is very interesting to me, because I've never thought of all the stuff that's involved. I mean, I know Matt Hatton, he's going to talk in a minute, but I never knew there was this much involved with it, to be honest with you. I see a guy going down the road with a little lawnmower on the back of a trailer, and I think he's the landscaper, but really there's tons more to it. So what about you, Desiree?
Right. Yeah, we specialize in perennial bed maintenance. So we're not doing lawn care or any of that kind of stuff. But our specialty is perennial beds. And we also do installations and design as well. The owner of the company is a certified landscape designer, so we do that. And our bread and butter is the maintenance, just maintaining, landscapes. Weeds, unfortunately, are always going to be there, so it keeps us in business.
Colorado's known for weed.
Do you guys have a snow shoveling service? Because you're in Colorado.
We don't. In the winter, we totally shut down, and we're just spring, summer, fall.
So the business shuts down in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wow,
that's awesome. Time off. Hit the slopes.
It's a good time.
I'm a little jealous right now.
Matt, what about yours? What about your business? Matt's got some. Everybody in different geographical stuff is different.
Yeah, I was going to say that's right. What do you do? How does that work when you guys are shut down for the winter in terms of income and everything?
Right. So, we try to hook up our crew with other jobs, because there's a lot in Colorado you can do seasonally. In the winter, you can work for, a number of ski oriented or snowmobile or any kind of winter activities. So we hook our crew up with that. But yeah, for the management, we just make sure that we can be compensated. We're kind of like teachers. We take the winters off instead of the summers off.
Interesting.
Nice.
Hey, Matt, tell us
started,
about your business mix a little bit. Yeah.
When we first started, it was strictly installation. And for the first 6 years, we were putting out really strong quality product. And there was nobody to take care of it. We put out these beautiful jobs, and then, in 6 months they're falling apart. And we had to warranty plant material and replace and deal with it. So it was a financial impact. So we decided to start our own companies. It's just two separate businesses. That's Haddon Landscape, ground maintenance, and Haddon Landscape. And we really started it just as a insurance policy more than anything to keep our properties looking good. And it's turned into be about 50%, 50-50 in terms of installation and maintenance now. Of course, the maintenance side is heavy on labor. There's 80 people in that company and 25 in the other. However, the gross revenues are about the same. So, the money side is more on the installation for me than it is on the maintenance. But the maintenance is an advertisement too.
Then you went one step further recently with a purchase of something, right? Last year?
Oh yeah. We do growing. We grow too. I have a nursery as well. I've got two nurseries. I've got a 10-acre nursery. That's where my shop is. We grow. We don't do any outside sales there. It's all strictly for our own use. And then I bought a 100-acre nursery, which is a tree farm. No container material, all field grown. And since that's been bought, we've also built a large shade house, and we're doing interior plants as well. So that's a new adventure also.
I thought that was interesting, the shade house concept. I never knew that if you took a tree that grew outside and you put it inside, it won't grow. It's got to grow up in a shade.
You have to acclimate it. And you acclimate it for the shade, and then that's where you see them in the malls and so on and so forth. As a matter of fact, Apple is buying all their trees that we grow for their stores throughout the world. We're shipped to Denmark, to anywhere for that matter.
Wow. And
it's really turned into something interesting for us.
Matt, where are you finding all your employees?
That's a challenge. I've managed to keep my employees. I take a lot of pride in that. I mean, I've had the same laborers for 22 years. So I don't have a lot of turnover, but in terms of where I find them, I rely on the people that work for me to bring people in that they would work with. And trust me, if the guys they bring in don't work, they don't last.
Right.
That's right.
They don't allow it to happen. So, I'm blessed in that fashion as well.
So you look like you have a question.
Yeah, I was wanting to start with Desiree. How, and I guess from my perspective, I've seen a lot of change in the way people have their yards and all of the landscaping and so on. It's gotten much more elaborate than the little berm with a few plants strategically placed and mulch around them. I mean, it's your work with perennials. I mean, I am expecting things are getting much more elaborate than they may have been 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, our company also specializes in, water harvesting landscapes. So we try to, push people to, think about how much water your lawn uses and think about conserving water. So our design, can be with or without lawn, but we prefer to take out your lawn and really sculpt the land to try to encourage water to be pooled in the landscape rather than shedding it away. And I would say that's a pretty new concept within the landscape industry to, you know, use the water that we have rather than pumping in municipal water. It's a big problem in Colorado. We have droughts all the time. And so really harvesting the rain is important and not using municipal water.
I hadn't thought of that being one of the factors. Matt Eldridge, what have you seen change-wise in expectations of folks or direction for landscaping around houses?
I mean, we have. Hold on, go back with that. I don't really understand the question. One more time.
Well, I'm just looking at the change in what people want as far as what they expect to have in their backyards. You talk about the hardscape, and I mean, back when you might have a concrete slab or something, and that was, and put some trees around, and you might have some flower beds, but nothing like you're seeing evolve.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is, you know, when you meet with the customer on site, just trying to really understand what the customer's wants and needs are and get their vision of what they vision the property to look like, and then, you know, giving your input where needed, because it is, you're right, it is tough to pitch, you know, a $5, $10, $20, $30, $40,000 landscape to somebody. But you know, as long as you're knowledgeable of everything that's going in, and you can show them pictures of your portfolio of jobs that you've done in the past, that may, you know, it definitely helps to soften that blow, so to speak, because it is a, you know, it's a large number to try to get people to throw in their backyard. Some people have it already set aside and they're just ready for it, but other customers, you show up and they expect to get you know, they want their whole yard redone and this and that, and you know, they expect it to be a few $1,000s when you're talking about a big project. I mean, you know, so sometimes it's really hard to just get the customer to relate to the cost of goods of landscaping, you know, and especially when you get into like the hardscapes and the water features and things like that, you know, that comes with a heavy price, and you know, just being able to make the customer comfortable with the product that they're expecting, and then delivering on that product, you know, is really what gets you ahead in that design build side.
Thanks. Matt Haddon, you've been in it for a long time. What are you seeing down there in Florida as far as changes in expectations of customers, or
my company's kind of evolved to where we don't do as much work, or very little work, frankly, for builders or architects. We work directly with the owners, and I've been fortunate enough to have a reputation where I don't do drawings, but I design in the field. And I've been fortunate enough to have clients trust me enough to do landscape installations without a drawing, and just get the information from them as to what they want their property to develop into. And I work with architects in terms of the hardscape and things of that nature. But what people want is something that's going to last. That, you know, it's not something they don't have to go back to in a couple of years and redo. A lot of landscape architects will over-design something, and, you know, a year later, 2 years later, you re-landscape the place. And here in Florida, it's not uncommon for me. An average job is $400,000 or $500,000 for landscape, and so they spend a lot of money, and they don't want to have to do it again in a couple of years. So, you know, we work in those realms and try to use the right stuff, the right property, because it's quite diverse, really. When you get close to the ocean, you've got salt water issues, wind issues that you don't have, you know, 5 miles west.
Storms.
storms, it goes on and on. So, longevity is one thing they're looking for. Well, that's a big deal for clients.
Matt, what kind of opportunities, Matt Hadden, what kind of opportunities, we'll go back to the landscape itself in a minute. Our purpose of our podcast was kind of born out of careers, in case you didn't know. I mean, I don't know how familiar you guys are with it, but just a background of the podcast was born out of careers that are out there for people that maybe only want a 2-year technical degree or want to come out of BOTech in high school, aren't really interested in going to get a bachelor's degree. But that doesn't mean they don't want a career that they can't grow in. So, Matt Hadden, what kind of opportunities? I assume you have managers working for you, things like that, guys that have come along in the field. What kind of opportunities do you see out there for people that maybe the person that's coming out of high school and says, you know what, I don't really want to go to college. I want to get into a career that I can grow into. What would you comment about that?
Well, take me for example. I'm getting up in the days now, and I'm looking to stop working as much. And so the people that've been with me for a long time equally are getting up there in their years. And so we need some younger blood to pick up where we have left off and learn our trade, what we do. We'll have a buyer that buys the plants. Design, I do most of the design. So, I need people behind me. I'm fortunate enough that my daughter finally has decided to take an interest in the business, which she never had in the past, but so she started working with me.
And she went to college, but she didn't take nothing to do with this, correct?
That's correct. She went with marketing and strategic communications. But after this coronavirus thing and all these things that's happened recently, her opportunities has diminished considerably. And so she decided she'd like to learn the business. And that was one of her first comments. She said, you and Steve and Brian, you guys are getting pretty old. There's nobody there. You're not training anybody. Point well taken. I actually mentioned it to my buyer today, and he said, whoa. He said, I'm not ready to retire. And I said, you'll get somebody younger and then kick me to the curb, which I would never do, of course. But, there's a lot of opportunity in my company alone for people like that want to not necessarily go to college. And you can make good money in it. You can have a good career and a nice lifestyle doing it. So here in Florida, it's year round. That's right. If you ever want to come to Florida, you can do it year round.
You hear that, Desiree? You got yourself a job down there in Palm Beach.
It never stops. It never stops.
I'll work the winters.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. And it opens the doors for other things. I mean, I've met some very, very wealthy people, very good friends. There's always doors and windows opening for opportunity.
You were doing a job on a guy's house and ended up doing a golf course for him, right?
That's correct. Yeah, and he turns out being one of my dear friends.
Yeah. And how many palm trees did he buy? Every palm tree in South Florida?
Yeah, he bought several thousand. Trust me. Between the properties.
Several thousand. He was going around buying every palm tree for this guy. I happen to know the backstory.
Yeah. It's been fun for me, and I've met a lot of interesting people, and I miss certain times not being educated in certain areas, but I can fake it pretty good.
Maddie, how about you? How are y'all bringing them in, and how fast are they moving up the ladder? Team leader, going to the office, doing hardscapes. How are y'all doing yours?
Excuse me for just a minute, please.
Yeah, so the employees are the hardest part of the business for sure. But we have, I think just industry wide, there's a huge turnover rate. We've actually been fortunate. We've got some guys that have come up through the rankings, started as, we call them gardeners when they come in. And, those guys are $9, $10, $11 an hour guys. And then they, if they can get a spray license and stick around for a while and really show that they're trying to stick around, we'll put them to a CLT, which is a crew leader trainee, and then those guys make about $13.50 an hour, up to $15 an hour, and that's where the crew leaders step in. Crew leaders make between $15 and $18 an hour, and then and then a possibility to move up to a production manager from there, and that we have definitely used our own employees to recruit their own help, because that's as Matt said, these guys, if they bring somebody in and he's sitting in the truck with them and he's not pulling his weight, they're going to let him know real quick, and they don't stick around long if they're not pulling their weight. So we try to do that, try to have in-house recruiting, so to speak, and incentivize the guys. If they bring people in that stick around for 90 days, we'll give them $100 bonus or something, just because it's not easy sticking around. If these guys don't know, 3 months, you get a long way in 3 months, and you really learn a lot about whether you want to be in this industry or whether you're not. When you get into the heat of the summer and the crew leader jumping your bones because you're over there slacking in the corner on your phone, So
and you're the only one doing snow removal out of the group here.
Yeah, it looks like it. When we get snow, we don't get it too often, but when we do, no, we call it white gold though when it comes. We welcome it.
Desiree, you might have an extra challenge. You're, as I understand it, it's an all-women crew. Is that right?
Women owned, women managed, but we hire everybody, for sure. There's a lot of women on our crew, though. I would say majority women. And our company does on-the-job training. We know there's potential in everybody, so no experience needed, no college education needed.
Okay. Do you have pretty good luck with employee retainage, Desiree?
There seems to be at least a few returners every season. It is hard when we shut down for the winter to have people come back each season, but there's definitely opportunity to move up within our company pretty easily. So we find that the people, once they've moved up to a crew lead or higher position, they're more likely to return the following season and stick with us for a long time.
What did you do for work before you got into this field? I'm just curious.
I was a personal banker at a bank, and didn't like the indoor hours. Just didn't like it.
Do you take any continuing education, or how do you learn about this stuff? I mean, every day it seems like somebody calls a tree something I've never even heard of before in my life. Okay. All right.
Yeah, we do offer our crew, if they want to do continuing education, we'll usually pay for it. There's a cool class called the Colorado Master Gardener, which we encourage all our crew members to take over the off season, and we will pay for their tuition if they agree to come back the following season. And I'd say that the majority of stuff can be learned on the job.
Very interesting. Is it long hours? What kind of hours you guys work since you have such a condensed season?
No, I mean, when the weeds grow, we can only do so much weeding. So when it stops in the winter, it stops. But I would say 8 to 10 hour days, average. We don't work the weekends. We keep it a pretty nice schedule.
That's great. So what about, you say you went from the bank to outside, so clearly you don't like walls, and that was a whole lot of concrete you were stuck behind. So now you're out working, fingers dirt, but you're still in the office though, right? You get out at all, or for any of the design work?
My office is my home, so I like that. I do a lot of outside officing, but yes, most of my role now is on the computer for sure. But definitely I did that to myself. I was like, I'll take the management role. So I could have been working outside still if I wanted to.
And Matt Haddon, how do you say you do all this on the fly as you look at it? How do you get your vision into your team member's head? I mean, you got to go to the site, right? Everyone.
Right. Yeah. I go to the site and of course the client, you know, I work with the client and try to get into their head and figure out where they're coming from and what they want, what their expectations are, and work around that, given the site and their desires. And I've been fortunate enough to, you know, to land on 2 feet 99% of the time. And I've been blessed from my mom, some artistic abilities. So I don't look at landscape. I look at it as artwork, and I enjoy it. That helps. I enjoy being able to, you know, it's very rewarding in many ways. Once you've transformed the site into something that everybody feels comfortable, and it's like the golf course, you know, they go through the gate, and it's an oasis that's in the middle of town that just, you know, they love it. And you know, if you can accomplish that at people's homes, you know, they enjoy going home, and they think about you every time they pull in the driveway. And I could go the opposite direction if you didn't pull it off. But like never ever leave a dead plant. Always pull a dead plant. That's the first one. That's the last thing they'll remember is the dead plant. But no, it's about understanding what your clients are looking for, and the end result is their satisfaction, really.
And
it sounds. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask how you get, as far as advertising. We had a question here. Someone's asking where you getting your clients from. How are you advertising these jobs, Matt?
It's word of mouth. Period. I don't do any advertising at all. I never have. I've never done that, and I've been approached about it. What I don't want is because we're a high-end landscape contractor, and I don't want to advertise and open the door to people that might call that for smaller jobs that we just wouldn't be interested in or really have the ability to make money at it. And, you know, if someone calls, you need to respond. If you don't respond, then you're going to have a bad reputation of not responding. So I just soon keep that out of the equation. So all my work comes from word of mouth and from what people see, you know. When they see my work, if they like it, they'll call me.
Chuck, it sounds like that word's creeping back in here again, isn't it?
Passion?
The P word. Yeah, passion. Yeah, passion. Sounds like you guys all have I've noticed this trend. You all seem to really love what you do. I mean, I haven't really heard any of the three of you use the word work.
Well, that's one thing. I mean, this business gets in your blood, and you're done. You're stuck. And I think that's what's going to happen to my daughter. It's going to get into her blood, and she's going to love it, and she's not going to want to do anything else. Because there's nothing better than being outside all day. You know, the one thing I don't like about what I do is paperwork. I don't like going to the office. I do not spend time there.
Desiree.
And you know, it's once it gets in her blood, she's gonna be done for. I don't have to worry anymore.
And Matt,
she'll have Desiree as a general manager.
Desiree will come on down. We're 12 months a year.
Don't do it, Desiree. You better buy a one-way ticket if you do it. I'm telling you.
And you mentioned golfing, which leads me to Matt E. Matt, when you're not on the golf course during the day, crushing them balls, what's your work day look like, buddy? Because I know you're outside most of the time.
Yeah, I'm not an office guy either, man. I mean, I have an office and I don't really use it. I really don't like being there. Only when I have to be. You know, obviously you have to put the numbers together, but when it comes to it, you know, I just enjoy waking up and meeting the guys on the job, and you know, just seeing the transformation that happens over a day, 2 days, 5 days, whatever the project calls for. and we've been fortunate enough to hire some really good managers. We're starting to build a really good team around both divisions of the company. So, I got another landscape manager that works alongside me and Rusty Pulley, and he's been in the industry for 40 years. And I mean, when it comes to closure rates, this dude's like 95% closure rate. It's nasty. So having somebody like that on the team it's pretty much just me and him selling on the enhancement side. And, so having somebody that, that when they meet with the client, that they meet that client's vision on a project of large caliber, really, it helps you grow the business, because, I can have my guys that I deal with, and he's kind of got his guys, and we're both selling for the greater good of the business.
It sounds like your handicap's going down since you got Rusty.
Yeah, that's right. Like I said, we hired some key people. Yeah, no, but we do. We enjoy it. We love being outside. I mean, it's just like I said, it's true. Once you do this business, it's just one of those things that gets in your blood, and like I said, when you see the customer's face, or just the love that they have for their property and the space that you created for them to enjoy, it really is just rewarding at the end of the day.
And you mentioned you're doing these home shows, which, if I'm not mistaken, you won the last one, right? You took first place or something?
Yeah, we did. The last 2 years, actually, we got, last year we won Best Landscape Design, Best in Show Landscape Design. And the year before that, we won Best in Show. And like I said, I mean, it's one of those shows where, we do very limited marketing as well. We've been in business.
That's what I was getting. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Your marketing.
Right. Yeah. So we throw like $5,000 a year at House, and we've gotten some good solid leads from House. And then that home show is the other really investment that we do marketing wise. And we've seen the last 3 years, we've seen like 65% growth for the last 3 to 4 years, over just from, delivering a quality product and answering the phone when people call, and I've got an advantage having a twin brother who looks just like me. So if anything goes wrong on the job, I just say it was his fault.
Pretty sure if it was wrong, it was him.
Yeah.
Well, what's he doing? What about the service side? How are y'all advertising getting those jobs?
So that's how, that was the bread and butter when we started, and, so we've built long-term relationships with quite a few property management companies. And so, and just like Matt was saying, the enhancement side, the landscape design side is the bread and butter. Your numbers are, 2-3 times what your maintenance numbers are going to be for an annual contract on the maintenance side. But without one, the other doesn't really exist. We started in maintenance, and then what that's done is allowed us to really grow the enhancement side of the business. And now they're probably, they both pull their own weight pretty much. They're about 50-50 on each side as far as revenue generated. But on the landscape side, we can generate that same amount of revenue with nine employees and 2 managers, as opposed to the maintenance side, we need 21 and 3 managers, so, but there's also a ton of enhancement work that spins off of maintenance contracts. You're out there on the property weekly, so you got guys that pay attention when they're on the property. They end up, they go through, they get you a dead bush count, whatever it might be on a large size property. You end up doing a rejuvenation in that. You got a $30,000 a year contract, and you end up doing a $15,000 a year rejuvenation with 30-40% net on it. That makes that contract, that marginal margin on that maintenance contract look much better. But you got to have somebody pushing the enhancement side of it.
Yep, that's true. That's fact.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Desiree, what do you folks do advertising wise for business?
A lot of it's word of mouth, but we have started doing more advertising via like radio ads, door hanger campaigns. Our trucks and our crew, though, really, get us the most amount of business. People see our work, and they want to have the similar landscape that they see in their neighborhood, and clients are great references too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maddie Eldridge, what do you tell somebody if you got like a guy in high school or something, maybe you know him from golfing or surfing or hanging out. I don't know how you know him, but anyway, if you know this kid, maybe somebody's little brother or something, he's not sure what he wants to do, and he's saying, maybe I want to get into landscaping and do what Maddie Eldridge does. Okay, what would be the 3 things you would tell somebody like that, a young guy? Because we have young people listening to this right now that are trying to decide about their careers, and that's part of the purpose of why we're here.
Right.
So what would you tell somebody like that, knowing what you know now? Now you came from second generation, and your dad kind of guided you into it. So what guidance would you give somebody to be a good employee and to know that they had to start from the ground up?
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing would be just like always ask how you can improve on the job. Always want to be, I always pay attention, and you see, pay attention to the crew leader when you're on the job. And if you're not asking questions, you're not moving up, So when you come in as an entry-level guy, the most important thing to do is just always have your eyes on the man above you, because that, there's a reason why he's in that position, and with hard work. I mean, when I wasn't always in this business with my family. My wife actually took a job when she graduated from Virginia Tech in Northern Virginia. And, before that, I mean, we were doing $200,000 a year, working with all my buddies. We were more like when Xbox Call of Duty came out, we were taking the next day off, or if the waves were up, we're surfing. I mean, this is how it was, because we didn't have to, we were like, oh, we'll make it up for tomorrow. But when she took that job, I got a job with a company up in Northern Virginia that did about $1.2 million with 12 employees in a golf course community. And I started as a crew leader for, $30,000. And, up there at the time, that really wasn't that much. But when I had some experience here, I had about 8, 9, 10 years here. And I knew how to do everything in the business. And when I went up there, I just, I just continued to ask, give me everything you can give me. What can I do? Let me take over the fertilizing schedule. Let me take over the scheduling of everything. Just constantly just wanting to take on more, and even put myself out of the comfort zone. At that point, and within a year, I was his general manager up there. I was handling all the crews. I was handling all the scheduling. I was handling all the purchasing. And in 3 years, I was able to learn a great deal of knowledge just by being just ready to just not fail for one, and just give me everything you can give me. Because all he wanted to do was play golf, and by the end of it, me and him were golfing every day. I mean, it was great.
That explains a lot.
Yeah. So to break it down, you tell somebody to be totally engaged, be totally
absolutely
committed, be engaged, make it your commitment, make it your priority. It's not a secondhand thing. It's got to be your number one priority, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And get educated. There's so many continuing education classes out there that, if you're really eager to learn the business and you're working in it every day, just ask for those continuing education classes, and just, learn everything you can. Because when you're out there, the more knowledgeable you look to your crew leader, your boss, or the customer that you're on site with. When a customer calls me and they tell me that, man, I got to tell you, your crew leaders or your crew is just so polite out there. And I asked them to handle something that was outside of the thing, and they just did it. And, however you guys communicated that was great, and hearing that from the customer, really, really brings the good out of it as well, but that's really what it is. Just be in tune with what needs to be done on the job, how you can make, I tell my with the maintenance guys, like if they could shave off 3 minutes from each property at the end of the year, that looks like an extra $300-400 in each of their pockets. But it's a different mindset when you step out of the truck and you grab the piece of equipment on how you're going to do better for the company. And then at that point, I mean, the crew leader notices it, which goes up the chain, and then, you start to get recognized, and then you start to take reins on your own. and then you end up being a crew leader. I mean, we got a guy now that was our operation manager who started with us 7 years ago as a gardener at $9-10 an hour, and now he's $42,000 a year with full bennies. So
on the continued education, are y'all paying for your employees to take any of these continued education classes?
I do, absolutely. I pay 100%.
So everyone here is paying for their employees to continue, so they can start out landscaping, even let's say between junior and high school, 10th grade, before they even get into high school. Right for first summer, come to work for you, maybe hit a VOTEC, and then after that, you're willing to pay for whatever classes.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and pesticide, like pesticide continuing education is always big too. The guys. If you can carry a registered tech or a spray license with you, that just shows that you've put the time in to get your education as well. And with people's animals and putting chemicals out and all the claims about chemicals these days, you really need your employees to be really knowledgeable about what they're putting on the property. Is it going to affect the animals? What's the
Damn palmettos, Matt. What are y'all doing for this? What are you doing for those things, man?
The same subject with you, Matt Haddon.
Yeah, the one thing
talk to us about your long-term employees and what made them good to be long-term employees.
Yeah, I mean, what made me have long-term employees is that I was out there with them, early on, digging the holes and riding the machine. And doing everything they were doing, and it was hard, but we were smaller at that time. But
we can't.
And that and the respect, they give them that level of respect, and they'll bend over backwards for you.
What qualities? Like if somebody was coming in young, what would be like the three? Somebody came in knowing nothing, but wanted to get in your business. What kind of qualities? What's the three qualities you tell them to bring?
Somebody that's going to be number one, honest with me, and they're going to be at work on time every day, early. If they're early, that's a plus. As long as they're honest and they show up to work early and they show that desire to learn. That's what I'm looking for. And when I know somebody's heart's in it, that's very meaningful for me. We had a situation just recently where the guy, he rode 2 buses to get to work. He didn't have the management skills really that we need, but his heart was in it. And, 2 of my other people that are up in the company felt like it was time to make a change. And I said, no, his heart's in it. We can teach him the management side. That's you can be taught that, but you can't be taught the fact that you want to be here. He wanted to be here, and that paid off. And he's still here, and his heart's in it, and he's doing his thing. He's learning how to be a manager. The other thing about this industry is we all are really willing to give up any kind of information. I mean, from grower to grower, from contractor to contractor. If we have a problem with some kind of bug, something's going wrong, we call on our competitors to talk to them, and they call us. We are very proud of the fact that we're on the leading edge of everything. We try to stay up on everything with the bugs and the plants and it's the information flows freely in this industry, and that's a big deal. It welcomes you. It makes you comfortable. That you're not on your own. That you're just a phone call away or an arm's reach away from getting help from somebody. That's the part of this industry that gets into your blood. It's not only the work, but it's everyday changing too. There's always another bug. There's always another plant that's been introduced, and learn how to use it and things of that nature. It's fun. It keeps you on your toes.
Keeps you involved in it. Desiree,
involved.
What about you when you look at potential employees coming? What quality do you tell them you need to see from them? We're talking to young people now. We're talking to young people coming out of the box that don't know anything, putting their Xbox down. Matt Eldridge.
Yeah, hey, look, that's a game. It was a game changer for real.
Work now so you can golf later.
That's right.
Yeah, I think, definitely like Matt Eldridge said, showing initiative, showing like you want to take on as much as you can. That really, when he said that, I was like, yeah, that's what I did. I wanted to eat up everything, the owner of the company wanted to give me. I just was like, teach me more, and so if I see that quality in another person, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the type of person we want to, really promote and have longevity with the company.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah. I have a question. I want to start with Matt Eldridge, and I'm in the Chesapeake area here, so not too far from you. And as I see landscapers, I don't see many or any women on the crews. Have you had many women working in your with you in your company, or do you see other landscapers with women in the crew?
I mean, we have had a few females, and what I do notice is that every good crew does need one. If I could put a female for detail work on like the maintenance side on every crew for weeds and spotting stuff coming out of, just a sucker coming through a hawthorn, or I feel the attention to detail with a female on the crew is definitely good for that kind of, like, hey, you're the detail, you go back over to guys, check out, just make sure that if they miss something, I just feel like they're in tune with the detail work a little bit more than just, the normal dude out there who's just like, sun's out, guns out, I got my earphones in, I'm cutting grass, check me out,
Matt Haddon, have many women working in your crews?
Surprisingly, we do. It started out where I've seen one or two, and I'm like, all right. I actually have one of my best nursery people is a girl. Very nice girl. She's terrific at what she does. But now I think we probably got about almost 20 women that work for us in the maintenance side of the companies. And they work very hard, and they're, like Matt Eldridge says, they're keen on details. They see things that the guys just don't see, or maybe they don't want to see. I don't know, but they're detail-oriented people, and they're a great asset to have. Absolutely. And I'm glad they're on board for sure.
Yeah, and part of what we've said here on the show is that we don't think that we can do it as a country if we can't get women out into the trades and landscaping kind of included.
I agree. I think they're a great addition to my workforce. At least I can tell you that for certain.
Pretty good work habits in that group.
Very, very good work habits. They're on time. They're dedicated. They do their job. They don't jerk around. They don't talk on the phone. It's actually it could be an improvement in some cases.
Well, Desiree, I'm wondering a bit the sort of the reason that your company started. It was primarily focused on having women in landscaping. What can you tell us about that, and how is that going as far as recruiting women into your force?
Well, like I said at the beginning of the meeting, that our bread and butter is the maintenance side. So they're detail oriented, exactly like both Matt said. I think girls they can focus on, weeding a patch of grass for longer than a guy can. It's tedious, but that's what we like to do. I don't know. But yeah, because we're maintenance oriented, that's our main focus in our company. It works to have women. And so we try to attract them into our industry more and more. And yeah, we're majority women.
Well, do you think it's because and I may not exactly know what you do as far as with the perennials, but do you think that that is a more ideal place or more attractive to women to work in the type of landscaping you do versus other types?
I think in Colorado, women are just more inclined to want to do just as much as men can. They don't want to, shy away from something because they're told they can't do it. So I would say it's really easy in Colorado to get women to apply for our type of job, not even knowing what the job necessarily is. They're just like, see landscaping, see working outdoors, and they're like, I'll try it. So I would say that I didn't know what the job necessarily entailed when I started working here, but I was ready to try anything as long as I was outside, like digging my hands in the dirt, just getting physically active.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jeb.
I think we're about covered unless y'all got anything else for these. We're getting close to our hour mark. So
how about if they just give a 1 minute invite to somebody in your industry? What's your pitch? Matt Haddon, go ahead.
My pitch would be, I started with virtually one truck and a desire to have my own business and be successful. And, it's been since 93, so, 20 something years. I have 3 companies now, a landscape company, a maintenance company, and a nursery, all of which work hand in hand. And I cannot imagine a different career path. It's satisfied me in every aspect of any career would be.
Very nice. Matt Eldridge, same question.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Along the same lines, we started with, it was me and Josh in a truck, and we couldn't wait to get out of the truck, so we stopped fighting over who was going to run the Z-mower and who was going to weed eat the grass. Let's be honest, but what that came of is, now we're both, we both lead a team of individuals who are really, in tune with the vision of the company, and we're in the trenches together every day. I'm out on the job every day. Like I said, I hate being in the office, so these guys see me every day and they see me pushing them, and they look up for they look up to me for guidance. They want to grow with us, and like I said, we've seen a good amount of growth over the last few years. And I think with this another thing with these guys, with this whole COVID-19 thing, is that, that they feel, a lot of these guys are between the age of 35 and 50, let's say, and, working for between $13 and $18 an hour. And they feel us, being that we're essential, we're still out there working, they feel that, maybe they didn't see themselves cutting grass at 35 years old or trying to be a crew leader at 38 years old. But there's a sense of gratitude that they're still out there working right now in the trenches during this time. They feel that essentialness. So, that's it. We love our business is family oriented. We, like I said, a lot of guys been there for 5-10 years. We take care of them, and they've grown with us. So we're all really just one big family. And like I said, we're in the trenches in the heat. Nobody likes it when it's 100 degrees out and you're covered in dirt. But we just at the end of the day, it's all worth it.
That's great, Matt. Desiree, why don't you close this out with your 1 minute pitch to what you would tell somebody to get in your industry?
Yeah, I would say if you love like digging in the dirt, getting outside, just being in nature, I think that, some of the places we work are the most beautiful places in Colorado, and we get to, that's our office, is working outside. You don't need to have all the education in the world to get into this industry. It's not something that's barriered to people. So if that's something that appeals to oneself, then they should definitely try it.
Well, you all did a great job. It's clear you're all true professionals and have a passion for what you're doing. Don't you agree, Jeb?
Absolutely. A great panel. I enjoyed hearing all your stories.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Excellent.
Have a good week.
Thanks
All
for
right.
joining us, and thanks for sharing your stories.
All
Thank
right.
you so much, guys.
Thank you.
All right. And for those at home, we'll see